from MISGIS is in, you're going to receive a message, and this meeting, and I'm going to give you a thumbs up, is officially being recorded. So okay, we are live.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is the meeting of the Board of Health, Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, 6 p.m. And I'm going to take a roll call before we start anything. Got myself, Glenn French. We got Swati Sane. Please say here if you're here. I saw her.
She's on mute.
Oh. How about Lisa Bennett Johnson?
Lisa Bennett Johnson is here.
Good. And Teresa Capobianco?
Here.
Good. And Swati Sane. She's here. Missing from tonight's meeting is Dilip Jain.
I'm here.
Oh, good. Welcome.
I'm trying to open up my video, so.
Oh, okay. I'll just get 1 second. Let everybody get collectively together.
Sorry, I'm here,
Good.
Glenn.
All right.
Finally figured out. It has been a long time since I've done a Zoom meeting. So
It's still a lot of fun. Okay,
If
so
you say so.
this meeting is being conducted by Zoom, and there's no in-person attendance by members of the public. And we're going to take it from there. Let's see, Kristen, they have some preliminary things you want to take care of?
Sure. So I just want to, on the agenda for the public, we are also live streaming on YouTube on the Northborough Remote Meeting channel. So members of the public are invited to attend through that channel. I'm excited. There's a new face on here. I don't know if you can see all the panels of Zoom, but Tim McInerney is our new town administrator in town. And Tim is excited to join and say hi to all of you. So if it's okay with the chair, if we want to allow for Tim through the chair to say hello.
That'd be great.
Hello,
Chair
good
Tim.
evening. Hi.
Hi, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Health. I appreciate you letting me come on and just put a name with a face and see the work you're doing. Obviously, Kristen's going to share some news with you tonight that you might already know. Not happy, but happy for her. And, you know, she's been a great asset, and it'll be tough, but we will rely on you when we need to. And I want you to know you can rely on me as well. If there are things that the board needs information-wise to make the best decisions possible, I want to be here as a resource to serve you. So I don't know if my name and phone number is on the website yet, but call the main office and you'll find me. And Kristen will probably share my contact information with you all as well. I appreciate you letting me come on. I don't know if you had any questions for me. I'll be happy to answer any.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Not yet.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have to go to planning, so I am sorry. I'm going to go to that meeting now too. So
Have fun.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, so
All
yeah,
right.
and yeah, next on the agenda is the 162 Whitney Street geothermal well variance. If you're okay, I can let Marty and TJ in, who are representing that project.
By all means.
Okay. I haven't been super involved, so I'll let Marty and TJ do their intros if you want to invite for them, and it'll take them a minute to connect to audio. Okay. Marty, can you hear us okay? I see that you're now muted, but
I can.
okay.
Good
great.
evening. Hi, everybody.
And then it looks like TJ's here too. TJ, you're muted, but can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay. Do you I'll hand it over our chair, Mr. Glenn French, but if you want to do some intros, the board was circulated by Angie. Thank you. Additional information on the project.
All right. So who wants to jump in? Marty?
Yeah, sure. What are your questions?
I think when we heard about this last meeting, the board had some questions concerning whether it was a closed system and how it actually worked, and if there was a chance that it could break out somehow, and we didn't quite understand the whole system.
Okay,
Um,
so what's planned for the property is what's called a vertical closed loop. There are several in Northborough already. What the vertical closed loop consists of is a standard 6-inch vertical bore. In this case, two pretty deep ones, probably two 500s, a total of 1,000 feet of borehole. So what you get is a 6-inch bore, and like any other artesian well, this is not an open well in practice, but it's drilled in the same way. So you drill in that 6-inch bore, and then they set the steel casing into what's referred to as competent bedrock. So that 6-inch piece of steel will get hammered into their bedrock, and that keeps the overburden from falling in on the well. It also keeps surface water from intruding into the aquifer during the drilling process. They use drilling mud to keep the overburden open until they can set the steel case. From that point down, the bedrock is by itself a wonderful casing and very conductive. Once that borehole is drilled, they're going to take two 1 1/4-inch high-density polyethylene pipes. That's that black plastic pipe, just like the sprinkler pipe in your yard, but 1 1/4-inch, not as small as your sprinkler pipe. In the bottom, there's a U-bend. So it's like an upside-down hairpin. The U-bend is fused. There are no moving parts. There are no connections in this pipe. It is all butt and socket fused together. It's basically melted together. So you have this U in the bottom, and then they get these two 1 1/4-inch pipes that's basically an upside-down hairpin that goes, they set that all the way down into the bottom of the borehole. And then that first visit is done. You'll have about 18 inches of steel casing sticking out of the ground. And out of the top of that, two 1 1/4-inch high-density polyethylene pipes. And we put little caps in them so we can't get any crud in there while we're working. Then the second truck arrives with what's called a trimmy rig. The trimmy pipe is a skinnier pipe that goes all the way down to the bottom in the void of where those two pipes are in the 6-inch hole. And then they raise that pipe up as they backfill the hole with bentonite grout. Bentonite grout is benign material, and it's the same thing they use to fill an abandoned well. Okay, so when you're done, then that truck leaves. The third vehicle is going to be an excavator. The excavator will come and it'll dig a 3-foot pit that's 4 feet deep around each of the boreholes. And then in that 4-foot deep trench, they're going to cut the steel casing off, and then they're going to do elbows so that those two pipes can go laterally in ideally a 4-foot deep, 2-foot wide trench. We'll marry the two holes together, and then a reverse return. We're going to core into the basement wall, the supply and the return, which are going to be about 1 foot apart from one another. And we're going to be down about 4 feet, so we're below the frost line for that offset piping. Those two pipes go to the unit. In this case, there's 2 units. There's a package unit that serves the basement and the first floor, and a split unit that serves the second floor. So inside those pipes, there will be 22% propylene glycol and 78% water. Those pipes are then connected to the units, and there's actually a little supply and return pump for each unit. So one pump pulls on the loop, the other one pushes back. It is a completely enclosed and encased system. There is no liquid or fluid or material movement underground whatsoever. My family was lucky to be involved in writing the guidelines for the state of Massachusetts. To give you just a quick jump off to give you my family's experience, we've been doing nothing but geothermal since 1975. My father is internationally recognized in the industry as an engineer. He writes the standards for ANSI and CSA for open well systems in the Americas. This is not an open well system. This is a vertical closed loop. And, I think there would be a lot better understanding if the language didn't say wells, but said boreholes. Because again, we are drilling like we would be drilling a well, but we're putting in a pipe, encasing around that pipe, and then completely sealing that off from any underground activity. So that is how that is done. The typical offsets, and again, we appreciate that the town of Northborough has primacy, and you can have whatever offsets you desire or prefer or dictate. Typically, we need to be 10 feet off the street and 10 feet off the property line for a vertical closed loop in Massachusetts. We typically have to be 50 feet from an active septic field or a D-box. In this case, I understand that's pretty far away from where we want to do our thing. I did see a comment, and Robert,
Marty,
the bit.
not the
Go ahead.
state regulation for it's domestic well 50 feet.
50 feet. Thank you. TJ, the driller from Gap, has got a lot more detail. And again, we know the town has primacy, but there was a question about the water coming from the street, and I guess it was capped, the municipal water, for them to, because they have to cap it in order to do the new foundation and construct the house, which they did. Their intention, to my understanding, is just to open that back up. That's going to serve the domestic water to this property. There's no open well planned for this property, to my understanding. So having said that stuff, and I talk too much, TJ, you jump right in anytime. But what questions can I answer about or misunderstandings or details do we need to share beyond what I've identified so far?
I think that was an excellent presentation, Marty.
Thank you.
Perfect.
It's not my first time doing this one.
No,
So
perfect.
just a question though. So
Yeah.
what would be the advantages of putting one of these geothermal systems in place versus a traditional heating system?
Well, versus a traditional air source heat pump system,
Yes.
you're going to get twice the annual efficiency of the best air source heat pump on the planet. They use an HSPF, let's say the Mitsubishi Hyperheat, the top of the line air source. And I got nothing against air source otherwise, but all air source heat pumps are judged for performance using an outdoor air temperature of 47 degrees Fahrenheit. Little known secret. That's in ARI 5.15 and ARI 5.25. They're famous for saying, oh, well, you get full capacity down to minus 15. I didn't ask about capacity. I asked about efficiency. And why is that? The distance between what you want your inside temperature to be and what the outdoor air temperature is what we call slope. The bigger difference, the less efficient. Underground, it's 52 degrees, 365.25 days a year. So even when it's 0 outside, you want your house to be 70. That's a 70-degree trip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 50 underground. That's a 20-degree trip. So even though you're losing more BTUs per hour on that coldest day, what we refer to as a design day temperature, your performance and your delivery of heat from the heat pump pumping stored solar energy out of the ground into the house remains constant year round. And in the summertime, you think about it, okay, it's 90 out, I want my house to be 75. Well, it's 50 underground. You're basically 25 free degrees on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the main reason. The other reason why geothermal heat pumps are more efficient is because water is 4 times as conductive as air. Think about it. Put your hand in the 400-degree oven. Don't touch the pie. You can live in there pretty good for at least a few seconds. Contrarily, put your finger in 220-degree boiling water. So your surface and the energy associated with making the heat transfer with water, or in this case, the water glycol mixture, is 4 times more effective. So it needs 4 times less space to deliver the same amount of heat exchange. So again, air source heat pumps and geothermal heat pumps that are modern have both had an advantage of the new 410A refrigerant and the scroll compressor. It's no longer a piston reciprocating compressor. It's kind of like the Wankel engine of compressors. A lot less noise, a lot less friction, a lot higher performance. So the main reason why Geo is dramatically more efficient in New England is because we have a lot more heating hours up here. In Massachusetts in Zone 5, you're looking at roughly 2,800 to 3,000 hours in heating annually and about 600 to 700 hours of cooling annually. So when we look at the performance, really the colder or the hotter you are when you put your ground loop investment in place, the more advantage you'll have against air source. So again, I got nothing against air source other than, they don't perform well when it gets real cold out. That's all there is to it. So the other thing about Geo is that everything lives inside. There's no loud fan outside to bother your neighbors. It doesn't live out in the snow and the ice. The PRC group did a study that showed that the mean time between failures of residential geothermal heat pumps is 47 years.
Wow.
And we've been at it since 1975. So, in the last few years, we've been replacing old units that went in the 70s and 80s. But they're very hardy. What you do on either side of the heat pump is way more important than the heat pump. If you undersize your ground loop, you're going to fall out of that performance when it gets real cold or real hot. If you undersize your ductwork, you're going to overheat the refrigerant coil as it's trying to deliver heat into the space. Easy breathing is critical. And minimizing the deltas of temperature and pressure throughout the system is what's going to give you that wow performance 365 days a year.
Now, Marty, can I ask something?
Yeah.
This is Glenn French again. Excuse me. So if it's 52 degrees at all times in the ground, right?
Yeah.
How do you heat the house more than 52 degrees?
I get that question every day.
Oh.
It's not a heater. People say, oh, you bring in the water at 52 and you heat it up to 70, right? No. I bring in that 52-degree water and I take some relative heat out of it. So if I bring in water at 52 and I put it back at, say, 45, I've taken 7 units of heat out of it. And I compound that using the compressor to expand and contract the gas. Water it's hard for you to wrap your head around how you get heat out of something that's that cold. But if you think about the fluid coming into that heat exchanger, on the other side of that pipe, you got refrigerant that's minus 30. So it's easy for 5 or 6 calories of heat to leave the water and make the refrigerant a little bit warmer. Then that compressor compresses it, sends it up, and it expands and it delivers that few degrees and does that over and over and over again. In fact, if you think about a really hot summer day and then you get a rainstorm and then you see the water evaporating and it's much cooler, that's evaporative cooling. Think of your refrigerator. The inside of the refrigerator is not made cold. It's had the heat removed from it. Second law of thermodynamics, I can't create or destroy energy. I can change its state or its place. So where does the heat that's coming out of the refrigerator go? Out the back where the cat hair collects. It's always nice and warm back there, right? So that's a heat pump. Your refrigerator is a heat pump. Air source and ground source heat pumps are a refrigerant circuit working in forward or reverse, depending on the season.
Huh.
So it's all about how far you got to go. That loop pump, that compressor, and that blower are 3 electric devices working to pump heat from one location to another. The same is true in the summer where I don't want that solar gain. I'm going to put that back into the ground. And at the end of the summer, I'm going to have a bonus going into the beginning of the winter. because I've warmed up the earth maybe a degree or two as far as 15, 20 feet away from that borehole. And now I'm going to go into the heating mode. Well, I'm going to take all that solar heat that I stored back. It's one of the even better things about a closed loop. With an open well, some of that heat can migrate away, right, through the aquifer. With a closed loop, and there is a disadvantage to the closed loop, that black plastic pipe is actually a pretty good insulator. So I have to manipulate the fluid temperature. There's enough difference for a heat exchange to occur through that plastic to the outer earth. So we do derate the heat pump's output in heating compared to the unit size by about 20% when we're doing a closed loop. So that 5-ton unit will get you about 4 tons of heat. It doesn't make it bad. It's just thermodynamics and heat transfer. That's really what we're designing for. And that's why the closed loop, particularly the vertical closed loop, is really the paradigm in the industry. It's bulletproof. There's nothing mechanical underground. You're not going to get a leak. You've protected the pipe against damage, but with the grout that seals it in the borehole, it's really considered the standard, if you will. We don't do a lot of horizontal loops in New England because we tend to bump into a lot of that hard stuff, granite, rocks. So we can do horizontal loops. There's a lot more pipe in a horizontal loop. I got to do big trenches that are 5 feet deep and lay it all out flat, but you just don't see that geology in most of New England.
Now, what are you looking for, before we get into any further questions, what exactly are you looking for from the board?
So when we initially put together, I'm working with the builder and his civil engineer, and we marked out the loop locations that we suggest would be best. And I understand there was a concern initially about an offset. I think from the left-hand side of the property, it was less than 35 feet, which is apparently your offset minimum. So we moved that one to the other side. So they're both in the front yard. They're both well beyond the 35 foot. Again, most towns, and it's all up to you guys. Most towns is more like 10 feet. But we did find that we had the 2 borehole locations well within, well beyond the 35 feet. And we were hoping that by putting those new positions in place, we'd be able to get confirmed. So you see where the porch is in the top middle?
Yeah.
Basically, you're going to be on, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Here it is. Yeah, so those are the 2 locations that we suggest.
Yeah.
So again, a water pipe that's going horizontally from the street is not something we typically have a big concern about. But if the town has that concern, we obviously are going to respond to that concern. But we didn't really see a lot of other concerns at this property. Any water we encounter during drilling, they basically just dig a little pit and let that clean water go back into the aquifer, go back into the property, just like rain or any other water. Again, there's no chemical adjustment to that water. We're just drilling a hole, putting a pipe in it, and backfilling it with this conductive cement material. And again, that material is what they use to fill abandoned wells.
So, fill wells, right.
In the modern era.
Okay.
All right. I'll ask, does anyone from the board have any questions regarding how the systems work?
I do. I have one question. This is Lisa Johnson. Marty, thank you very much for being here and giving us this information. It's very helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if there was a leak in the plumbing, how would the homeowner know with that?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, the likelihood of a leak in this plumbing is extremely low. As in 45 years, I've heard about twice. And what that was in both cases is somebody put in a shrub, they dug down more than 4 feet and they nicked the pipe. First of all, it's important to know there's 2 ways to do this. One is what's called a non-pressurized loop, where you have like a filling tower and you can fill it with your water and your glycol. I'm not a big fan, because they tend to get oxygenated and they can get some bacterial growth. So we're going to do what's called a closed loop. And now those pipes are filled, they seal them to the machine. Then TJ's guys come back and they fill that loop with the glycol water. 30 pounds pressure. That's it. If the system loses pressure, the unit turns off. If and when we see a leak in this system, it's going to be when they pressure test it. Once they core it into the building, they're going to pressure test it with air. TJ, you can comment, I think, about what, 400 pounds of air to make sure
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
So once that's done, he caps it. I come in and I plumb my Schedule 80 PVC from the loop entrance to the units. And then we fill the loop, 30 pounds pressure. It's like I said, it's virtually bulletproof. If and when you ever had a leak in one of the verticals, that would be something you'd stop using. But again, it's extremely unlikely. In fact, that U-bend is typically melted into place at the pipe factory. So they'll get spools, like 2 spools with the loop. It's already connected at the U, and then that gets drawn down into the hole. So again, extremely hardy. And I think the industry, my father is Mr. Open Well, standing column well. And, we can get up to 40 tons of service out of those. We've got about 65 of those in Manhattan today. They get to be 2,000 feet deep.
Wow.
That's an open recirculating well. You got a mechanical device in that well. You got a submersible pump in that well. For that reason, I mean, I'm one of 6 kids. We all have a standing column well because that's Dad's thing. But the vertical loop is really the industry standard, and it's an industry standard first, second, and third because it's a safe and non-invasive method.
So Marty, forgive my ignorance, but just at the real basic level,
Yeah.
if there was, an unlikely event of a leak in that loop, would it affect the performance and the homeowners would know it right away, or would there be some seepage for a while before it was detected?
It depends. Once you get a bubble and that bubble finds its way into the pump, it's going to cavitate and then the heat pump's going to say, I'm not getting any heat exchange fluid, and it shuts itself off.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's what's
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Board members, I just wanted to go over, Marty, real quick. I'm going to share my screen again. I think we flagged this at the health department. Like you said, there are other geothermal wells in town that have come through permitting with the health department. The board never saw them because they met all the setbacks, right? It was an easy approval and it was within, and I think this is a little bit of a tighter site. And that's why this sort of was flagged and we pulled you in. So I'm just gonna
that's fair.
pull up that plan. So I think we went back and forth and we said, hey, can you hold on, let me just share the screen. Can you pull off the property line? We can keep it as is. You're within the 35 feet of our local setback for a well because our local reg is old. It doesn't differentiate between different types of wells. We're hoping to come up with a policy and fix this moving forward. And so you pulled it away from the property line. So if you're all looking at the top of the property, the well originally first plan was within the 35 feet. Marty moved it, but then we were concerned on our end because we did refer to the guidelines that you talked about, Mass DEP has guidelines for ground source heat pump wells. So we went to those guidelines, and the guidelines ask for a 10-foot setback to any potable water supply lines. So I had wrote to you, or it was TJ saying, well, now you're not meeting your own, the guideline for these wells, as you can see from this distance here. And we asked for that revision. I don't see it here. There was a question about the cut and cap to the water service. So, you're not meeting that at this current design. If this is to scale, you're not meeting the 10-foot setback to the water line, which is a concern for me. So can you talk about that?
Sure, we can move that. Why don't we move it closer to Whitney Street and just kind of come down a little bit, basically right under that 185 or under the S dot.
Okay. The 180, oh, so over here, so you just
Yeah,
farther
sure.
away, okay.
Yeah, it's more than 10 feet away from your water line, if that's a concern. That's no problem.
I definitely would recommend, it's the board's decision, but I would recommend that at a minimum we meet the Mass DEP ground source heat pump well setback. And I'd go so far, if that was a problem, you need to encroach on the 35-foot setback. It's less of a public health concern here. It is closed, but I'll leave it to you or the board on your preference. But yeah, if you can meet the local setback to the property line that's in our well reg, that means they don't have to issue any special variance. And if you if you meet the Mass
Sure.
DEP guideline, I think that's a definite we'd want. Okay.
We
And so
want to
that
do what you
water
guys
line-
want us to do. No problem at all.
And that water line, the cut and cap is just a temporary for the new foundation or for other work, but you anticipate that water line is going to stay as shown?
I do, but again, that is not my bailiwick. That's your builder, A. Francis Contracting, Robert Ouellette, and and obviously his civil engineer. We don't provide wet stamp drawings. It has to be done through a separate civil engineer, and that's one of his subcontractors. So what I can do after we get off the call is I can call Robert and ask him to have his civil redraw with the new location of the well that's too close to the water line. Even though it's capped, we know it won't be eventually.
Yeah.
So we want to be at least 10 feet off of that and at least 35 feet off the street. Look, if I got to be 18 or 15 feet to the other hole, I can be, but it just got to be a little deeper wells. That's all, or loops, excuse me, because we will get a little bit of thermal crosstalk if we get too close one well to the other. That's all.
So what do you got, 20 feet in between now?
20 feet is the ideal. Yeah, that's the standard design distance between loops, excuse me.
Yep.
So I think if we come, if we're 12, 13 feet away from that water line, we should be fine, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just going to ask. I'm going to ask TJ to reflag it, and I'm going to talk to Robert Ouellette, the builder, and have him resubmit the drawing with the new location for well number 2 there.
To save you coming back a third time in case something didn't work out, is the board, I'm kicking this back to you, Board of Health, would you be amenable to allowing like within 25 feet of the property line to give them some space? That'd be a variance from our local setback, still within the DP potable water standards, still within the DP geothermal guidelines as well.
Well, I for one would be amenable to that. Dilip?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as from the water line, at least we get our 10 feet, I think that would be fine.
And how about Teresa?
Yeah, this is the setback from the street. I'm sorry.
Property line, 35
Property line.
feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
from the property line. Yep, I would be fine with that. Yeah.
Lisa?
I would be okay with that.
Okay, and Swati? Swati?
It's probably on mute.
She's on her phone. It's really hard to find that unmute button. See a thumbs up, Swati, if you can't unmute. There we go.
Sorry, yeah, I'm finding it very
Yeah.
tough to find that. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to understand this whole, system, and I don't know if I can, say yes or no, say either way. It's a little complicated for my understanding. And I'm just trying to read about it while you're talking, Marty, too. You gave a good presentation, but I'm still trying to visualize it. So I'm sorry, Glenn, I cannot comment or say either way.
That's
So-
right. It's,
To formalize that, Glenn, I would say that the board could make a motion to waive the 35-foot setback if needed to a maximum, to a 25-foot setback to the property line to allow for the resiting of the geothermal well and still meet the state's 10-foot setback to the water source line.
that's a good motion. I'm gonna make that motion.
So moved. All right.
Angie, did you get that? Is Angie with us?
I'm
Yeah,
here.
she-
Yeah. Do you mind saying that again? Sorry.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I would say that the board, it never sounds as good the second time, but that
No.
they would, reduce the setback, from 35 feet on their town's local regulations for the siting of this closed loop geothermal well to up to 25 feet, right? As close as 25 feet to the neighbor's property line. In order to ensure that there's the required 10-foot setback to the water source line.
If necessary.
Yeah.
For the property lines.
Keep them
All
as
right.
keep them as long as they keep them as large as they can be.
I think it's gonna work out.
Just an aside, as far as health is concerned, this system will be the equivalent of taking 3 vehicles off the road permanently. The amount of carbon that this system saves over oil, gas, or propane is significant. So, and again, notwithstanding the important considerations of the property lines and the offsets of those other underground features, this is a powerful thing for the environment.
Very interesting. All right, so we gotta move on that. Can I get a second on that?
I'll
I'll
second.
second it. There you go.
Oh,
All those in favor, we'll go with so Delete, you second.
Yep.
All those in favor, we got Delete,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Lisa,
yes.
and Swati.
Yes.
Yes or no? It's up to you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll go.
I think
Yes.
Swati, I think you can
Yeah.
abstain as well. Isn't abstain, I think she can abstain, Glenn.
Oh, can
if
she?
She's not
Thank you,
comfortable.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm trying to understand, but I'm still not
Well-
getting it. Yeah.
Now, Teresa's giving you a third option. If you want
Okay.
to
Thank you,
abstain.
Teresa. Yeah. I'll hold off on my vote.
All right, so we got one abstain.
Okay.
All right. Good. Anything else? Any further comments from the board? No? Any further comments from Marty or TJ?
Yeah, just a question. So if I understand correctly, we have a tentative approval based on a republish of the drawing showing the second well no less than 10 feet, more than 10 feet away from the water line intended to be reconnected to the property. And
Correct.
also away from that point, but as close otherwise to its original point so that it doesn't get into the 35-foot offset from the property lines.
Correct. But if
Great.
you go within the 35, no closer than 25.
Understood and appreciated. Thanks very much. And by the way,
Thank you.
Swati,
Yes.
it's my favorite subject. Let me know if you want to talk more about it offline at another time.
Sure, we'll let you know, Marty, or if I want to install one at my
Very
property.
interesting.
Yeah.
That would be great. We'd appreciate the opportunity. And thank you again to everyone on the
Right.
board for your questions. And in all seriousness, I do a lot of presentations at the town hall level, engineer level, architect level. Happy to expound further if anybody has any other related questions about the technology.
I
Thank
bet.
you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Moving on, drug-free community updates.
Glenn, if we want to take it out of order, Dilip, you said you needed to leave at 6:45. You
Oh.
are on our meeting minutes that need to be voted from
Okay,
the
Yes.
September 12th meeting. So if you're okay taking that out of order, approval of the meeting minutes from September 12th, 2023.
Thank you, Kristen.
No, thanks.
right. Anyone have any comments, concerns, or changes regarding the meeting minutes from September 12th?
No.
No. I move, nobody? Okay, then I'm gonna move that we adopt the minutes from September 12th, 2023 as recorded. And I need someone to second that, please.
Second.
And all those in favor, we got Dilip,
Aye.
Swati, Teresa, she'll come back
Aye.
to it. And Lisa,
Aye.
Swati. How does she keep going on to mute?
Because I don't want to,
Oh,
be
make
unmute all the
noises?
time and then I can't find the
Okay.
button, yes.
All right. You okay with the meeting minutes from
I am,
September
I'm
12th?
fine.
Good.
Yes, I'm okay.
That passes. Next ones are the meeting minutes from November 14th, 2023. Any changes, concerns, comments from the board?
Not for me.
None being recorded. I move that we approve the meeting minutes from Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 as recorded.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? We got Dilip,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and Swati, you weren't there, so you don't
I
get the-
wasn't present, yes.
All right. So that's approved as recorded.
Thank you, Mr.
Good.
Chairman, for doing that. I'm going to drop off. I'll let you guys continue. Everyone have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Dilip.
you, Dilip.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Delete.
Thank you.
Okay. Waiting on me, Glenn. We
We
back.
want to talk about the drug-free community update.
We'll keep this quick. The great news is we officially have a full-time employee in town hall. Her name is Emily Flavin. She is our Drug-Free Communities Coalition coordinator. She is full-time, based out of Northborough, focused solely on a drug-free community grant. She's a Northborough town employee, as we are the fiscal host for the grant, and she's doing work to reduce substance use, in particular alcohol and vaping, for the towns of Northborough and Southborough through the Encompass Coalition. We're very lucky to get Emily. She comes to us from Worcester. She has her master's in public health. Remind me, Isabella, I want to say it was Tufts. She did her thesis work was with the city of Worcester and their health department, COVID sort of vaccine hesitancy and a vaccine project. Her real passion is substance use prevention work. That's why she went into get follow up and get her degree. Really smart individual. Emily has a background with engineering from WPI, biotechnology, went into the world of pharmaceutical development sort of thing, did that for a little while and realized, no, my path is in public health. So she went on to her master's. So various background, great energy. She started on Monday. Thank you to Isabella, who's on this call, who made her a large binder of information, and we're onboarding her. She met with the coalition today at our steering committee call. And so this is just a huge win, and we're really glad to get her. Many communities like ours have struggled to hire this position. We interviewed many candidates to find this right fit. And Emily was pulled in a lot of directions. She was working full-time with Worcester Public Health, so she's helped on projects related to substance use prevention. She helped on breastfeeding education and more of like other, maternal child health programs. So she's seen a lot in a short amount of time, and Worcester's a great place. So we're lucky to have her, and love to put you in contact. We can look to share not only Tim's new information with you, as well as Emily And I think it'd be a great opportunity if any of you want to reach out to get more information. I didn't want to bombard her on week one to come on and give a spiel, let her get settled, but love to invite her to a future
Sure.
Board of Health meeting. So real big win, and excited to push that project forward. So that's that 5-year grant renewable for another 5 years. She'll be working in the schools. She's meeting with Southborough Youth and Family, and she's going to really get this going. They're working on a campaign for parents in January about give dry a try, the dry January, thinking even for adults to, model good behavior and try to reduce alcohol use in the month of January. So different campaigns modeled off of national campaigns, SAMHSA Talk, They Hear You, et cetera. So more to come. We'll be working with the
Good.
school resource officers, et cetera. So great win. And feel free to come by and say hi. She is based out of Town Hall in the office suite on the 2nd floor, where you can find Isabella and Michael.
Great. Any other business? Aside from the elephant in the room?
Well, on our agenda, one more. Item 3 is the emergency assistance shelter update.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's still here. Great community response. We've been doing a bit of human service work. We worked with local partners, Liz Nolan and Sherry Clark, who's associated with, I believe, Trinity and their youth group. They pushed out a Christmas giving list for the families at our shelter in town, which they found a way to fill it. And we had some other gift cards. So all the families in town are receiving a gift from a wish list, and those will be distributed at a community event for them on the 24th. So Northborough's done an outstanding job of supporting those in the homeless shelter system. So thank you to all of our amazing community members that have really come through, individuals in the public purchasing items, and really to Sherry Clark, who has been putting a ton of time in, I think, storing items and moving them, Trinity Church for allowing for them to be kept there. So it's we're good. Isabella's worked very hard. We've been working to connect people to, enrollment. The Ronald McDonald large van was on site this week and last week, providing medical appointments as well as dental cleaning. So we're, again, connecting these residents to medical and dental care. So we're good, and site stabilizing work permits have been issued to almost all of our family members. We connected with Karen Chapman in the 495 Chamber of Commerce and said, hey, do you know any businesses looking to hire? And she pushed that out through a newsletter. We had several excellent businesses step forward. We're willing to work with these residents with, some have language barriers or transportation issues, and they're successfully finding employment for these residents in town. So it's a great win. Social Security cards issued, work permits, and, the site is stabilizing, emergency medical care issues are being addressed, and great partners and nonprofits are helping to support this site as well.
They still have the National Guard there, Kristen?
Yeah. Don't know the end of that. The site is at least extended through March. I haven't heard that would be, any sooner, or no reason to think it wouldn't be extended through the academic school year. And National Guard is still on site. Their role is limited, but they do help book transportation and medical appointments. They're helping people sign up online on a computer for jobs, complete job applications, other things. The YMCA out of Westboro, the boroughs, Greater Boroughs Y, was amazing. They opened their doors on Sunday with a Christmas in the City, a nonprofit group, and held a large party where members in our shelter, or residents in our shelter, as well as shelters in Westboro, 4 shelters were invited as another shelter. So thank you to the Y. Not only have they extended and opened their doors for family memberships, also opening and sharing that free space of the gymnasium. Huge thanks to Christmas in the City. I've never worked with that organization. They were outstanding. Partnered with BU Dental. I gave out toothbrushes. We were teaching children how to brush their teeth. Lots of free fun giveaways. It was a really amazing event for all. So very grateful, and that was helpful. It was coordinated through Tyler Newell, put us in contact. He's with the Housing and Livable Communities and helped make that event happen. And it's the first time Christmas in the City has done an event in Metro West. They are known for their very large parties out in Boston, and they're rebuilding sort of their system since the COVID-19 pandemic, when they were not doing the parties. But I think they hosted 40 events throughout Massachusetts and maybe New York, parties in a bag, food. They had a full catering crew. I can't even, there's a Boston Globe article. I should forward that to you. So it's a really outstanding event, so good things and great partners. So thank you to the community, and Christmas in the city and the YMCA boroughs has been fabulous to deal with, and also offering and extending after school programming to families in town. So it's been great.
Fantastic. To move that one right along. I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But fairly quickly to get it to where it is. Well,
Kristen has a cape.
Yeah. No, I have a team. A lot of volunteers.
Yeah.
It was a fun event. I was able to bring my son and my sister and my mom and dad and a husband along. So we had a great time. It was great. They run events every year, so it's a cool organization. I recommend people think about it. I think they're all done for this year, but it's a great way to engage at the holiday season. It is non-denominational. Santa does appear. I don't think he falls into that category, but it was great.
Good. Okay, anything else?
Yeah. Any other business? So I did send you all my official resignation note with really heavy heart, because I just can't speak enough about you guys and how welcoming really this community. I think we've done great things. I'm really proud of the progress we made in the last 3 years since I've been here, and I'm very confident in the team we put in place, and Isabella and Michael and Angie and everything that's happening, Greater Boroughs partnership. I'll be taking a position at Mass Department of Public Health, overseeing their shared services unit, which is the same unit that gives you the big grant that pays for Isabella, pays for Michael. So I'll be watching and looking over and ensuring the continuation and success and support at a state level. And I think we've done great things, and it will continue with this team. It was a little bittersweet. Emily's first day was the day I gave my notice, and it felt awful, but it was sort of a really special thing to say, we work towards this. She's here and we're staffed and they're doing good stuff. So thank you.
In place.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be good. So along those lines, everyone's gonna say, what's next, right? Are they posting your position, Kristen? We're ready. One thing we've been working on behind the scenes in this town, if you're following, is really what are we doing with youth and family services? Okay, so that department's been around for a while. And June David Forrest, the director, retired in September, and they haven't refilled or reposted that position. One of the things we're finding in the world of human services, it's really hard to hire. Westborough's had an open director position for a really long time. We also, on the books in the town of Northborough, under the youth and family budget, have had a part-time counselor position. They've been unsuccessful in filling for over 2 years. It was formerly held by IECO, if you had followed that department before the Youth Commission. So I've been working with the town administrator officer to say, how do we restaff that? I know it's a critical service and it overlaps with health all day, every day. The shelter work is as much human services as it is health services. And right now in our town, we are 2 very small departments. We are underfunded in Northborough's general fund. Okay, we have a budget of around $220,000. When the state came in and we did the CART assessment that some of you did attend, were invited to attend, and you looked at the per capita spending across the 4 Greater Boroughs towns of Northborough, Boylston, Southborough, and Westborough, Northborough had the lowest per capita spending. We always like to look at little Boylston and tease them that they don't invest. Well, they invest at a greater value per capita than we do under our general budget in Northborough. So we have to keep ringing that bell, and I know you guys will be doing it, sound the alarm, whatever you want to call it. I've solved it. We've solved it with grants. It's not sustained. The goal is you're not fighting every year or waiting for a grant to really keep up those public health services. So one of the things I brought up with our last interim town administrator, Michael Gallagher, I said, I'm happy to help solve and fill in with family service absence. I'm not doing this forever. It has been a strain on me personally, professionally, in the department, and the town needs to solve it. And I said, you have to solve this by town meeting. That budget is sitting there at like 180. What are you going to do? This town, just so you know, the process is you can't just create a job description and go out and hire it. So if you all said, let's go hire a social worker. Well, that job description doesn't exist. We have to go to town meeting to vote it. So we, I work with Mike Gallagher. We put out a request for proposals. We work with BME Strategies, submitted a proposal, CMRPC. The planning agency, Collins Center was invited, but they weren't able to pull it off in time. The request for proposals was to get a group in, a consultant, to review the needs of health and human services in town and present a plan that meets the needs of the departments in the community in time for town meeting. So I'm going to try to pull the silver lining. I am normally forever an optimist. One of the consideration is merging health and human services. So taking health and their $220,000 budget, and then the little budget, of 180 with youth and family, and making health and human services. Other communities have done this with great success. Needham, Natick, Northampton, many of the Cape communities, Falmouth, Plymouth, Nantucket did it most recently. People are raving about it because there's an overlap. Michael goes into a housing case, there's a mental health need. The police department goes out and they, find an issue and they can refer it to a social worker. That social worker, it might be connected to some other health need behind it, And so I think it's a great model. It's going to make it more robust. It would not change the Board of Health Authority. You guys are in MGL, it's statute. You guys are a board with a whole different set. So what the town does with youth and commissions is another story. But this strategic assessment for a health and human service model is going to kick off tomorrow with a 1:00 meeting with key department heads and Tim McInerney. And then you will all be invited, stakeholders, boards, and committees. The goal is they're going to help build up a plan. I would envision it as a shared health and human services director. And then under that, you would have on the human service side, a social worker, an outreach worker. And on our health side, we'll pull out, for me, where I've been doing inspection and management. You might have trouble finding someone who can do if you want to do an exact replacement, having someone that knows septic, and has environmental experience and can manage grants isn't always an easy position to fill. Normally people fall into one or the other. Right. And so someone who's great at grants might not want to go out and do a septic deep hole test or be qualified or do environmental. So the idea is that if we share a director role that would do the two, then you would be able to get a full inspector position, sanitary and health agent under. So when I started, we had an admin right now on our budget and a health director. That's all you have. That's the only staffing that the town of Northborough has. If you can merge this, you can do half of your director role there and get a full-time inspector likely and find a way to fit. So that's sort of what we're going to be looking to do, or you, with the, guidance of Isabella and with input. So this will involve community input. It's something I'm behind, and I really think health departments in a community of this size are just too small alone. And I think there's a lot to be gained. We learned a lot through the COVID-19 pandemic, and mental health is public health, and this is really going to wrap it together. So I'm supportive of it, but it's going to be as good as the input and guidance from all of you. And I will send you that updated proposal and expect that CMRPC will be reaching out to the Board of Health, talk about this. And I think it's a good thing for Northborough. There's some great examples out there. And they have, the proposal is very prescriptive. They're going to look at other models. They're going to take that stakeholder info, but it's a really tight timeline. So pay attention to your emails. They need to get this ready for town meeting, because otherwise youth and families are going to just be vacant. And you know how it goes with funding like this. If you don't jump on it right away, other departments or needs are going to go, oh, look at it sitting there. Let's take it. And you're never going to get it back. So keep fighting, for our public health budget. The more to build a sustainable model. I mean, I look at the Department of Public Health. They're still saying these grants are great, but that doesn't mean we want you to stop fighting to get it in your general budget. The grants are there, and there's promise, 12 years, but we want to build every single year on trying to build more into the general fund budget and build up our health department. So we're prepared to transition if and when the time the grants are not available.
Yep.
So I threw a lot at you. So
yeah.
Give you some homework. And so the other update I'll just cover under that. So Michael Seeger, as you know, is full-time. He is under the Greater Boroughs grant. He's providing those shared inspections in the 3 communities, housing and food. Isabella is 32 hours a week. She's also under the Greater Boroughs grant. Her line item is split between program coordinator as well as epidemiologist. So she does a bit of both. Isabella is currently at 32 hours. I've talked to Isabella. I talked to Tim McInerney. Isabella would be able to increase her hours, 8 hours, to help get and support this strategic assessment. What I don't want to see the town do is drain our regional staff, because that's not fair to the other towns, right? Like, our problem of not being staffed shouldn't take away from Boylston's services under shared services or Southborough's. So Tim McInerney will be working with him. My goal is to get Isabella on board for additional 8 hours. And appropriate compensation, so she can dedicate time to making sure this assessment gets done, is supported with CMRPC. You're all in the loop, as well as and that process is also be getting the Board of Health budget ready, right, in time to present. So that's what we're looking at. Isabella said she can do it. We also have backup plans. We've been straining our public health workforce for a while. We did it through COVID. Right. We did it through the shelter. Our public health nurse right now, that position's open. So I want all of you in the town to really support this health staff, make sure we don't burn anyone out. Scott Moles is, you guys appointed him as an agent over a year ago. Scott Moles does our plan reviews. He's a registered sanitarian. He's doing that remotely, and he will continue to do that. He doesn't necessarily have the time to be here because he works in another community full time. But in terms of covering septic inspections, Michael wants to step up and see what he can fit in. We also have Dennis Costello that we've used in the past, who's a registered sanitarian that we've used per diem before. So that's another thing Tim is going to look into. So I think I started here 3 years ago. It was just me. I think you're going to be okay, but we do a lot more. And there's certain things we put on hold with the departure of the public health nurse, like our maternal health program and that development, or Narcan training. So we have things, we're working on to try to get those services back up, but it's a good time to rebuild. Please pay attention. And for me, advocate for public health. And I think if you guys are stakeholders and you provide input, the health and human service model could really help improve what we do and build sustainability for public health in the town of Northborough.
Who's going to guide us with this monumental task?
Well, CMRPC, right? They're great. You'll be with Connor Robichaud. He is another individual on his team. They're well respected. I worked with Connor Robichaud on several regional projects when I was in Uxbridge. It's a great planning agency, but the outcome is as good as the input. And I trust Connor. He's assisting 2 shared public health services. He's assisting the one out of North Bridge, as well as I think the one in Webster. So he knows these public health regions like ours, the Greater Boroughs. And so Connor's going to help you and his team at CMRPC. Isabella is here, and hopefully that 8 hours a week is just dedicated to getting this off the ground. It's a tight timeline. Your town meeting at the end of April, but I think it's doable. So tell your friends, get them behind it, give good input. This is going to go to town meeting, and
right.
It's a good direction. And it's great because we're going to clean up sort of like this messy grant thing we've been doing, where like Isabella's job description isn't in the town's classification. Like, I don't care if she's paid out of the grant or not. Let's have a public health nurse job description. Let's have a job description for an epidemiologist and a health agent or a sanitarian, and even just putting Emily in the drug-free coordinator, somewhere in a chart, right? So it's going to be good because we've grown a lot to just say, let's clean up everything. Let's look at our surrounding communities and making sure we're competitive. The one thing, hiring in health and human services is really hard right now. The market's changed a lot. A lot of people have burnt out. So just, Connor, part of their goal with CMRPC is going to look at all the jobs. They're going to look at all the salaries, and they're going to give a recommendation to the town. So it's like its little own salary compensation study, just specific to health and human services.
Yeah.
And the consideration more long-term, maybe some models include senior centers, veterans, rec, library. It could grow, but I think the immediate problem you all need to fix is make it work for health and youth and family right now. And other communities have really made it more inclusive, but that's just going to depend on the players and what people are, where we are, right? Everyone's going to say, what's in it for me? And, what does each department need? So the goal is to have better interdepartment collaboration.
We need a big whiteboard.
Yeah,
right? Well, I would like to say, Kristen, that on paper you were above and beyond all the other choices. You know, when we first got your resume in and your curriculum vitae, and you've far exceeded that. I've been here a long time, and you are by far and away the workingest busy bee I've seen, and really have just done a fantastic job for the town and for the Board of Health and in educating us all. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, Glenn.
I second that.
Oh, man, she's there.
No,
We're gonna miss you, that's for sure.
your enthusiasm, Kristen, even during the COVID times, and there was a tough time. Your enthusiasm was amazing. You'll definitely be missed.
Yeah.
You're sweating.
Yeah, you, Kristen, you're gonna leave a huge void in the department, not just your acumen, and not your professionalism, but also, as Swati said, your enthusiasm and your just ability to round up the troops and get everything done. It's really it's incredible. The DPH is lucky to have you.
Yep.
Well, we
Yeah.
still benefit from that, right?
Yeah.
Just going to a higher level, and she's mentored Isabella, and she's put wonderful resources that we've never had before, that this town has never seen. So you're leaving us in a better place. Thank you.
Yep. Better than you found us. That's really good.
No, I appreciate it. And I think you guys have such an incredible blend of the legal expertise, the medical expertise. Lisa, you coming in with really that, public health focus and academia focus. And I really hope you all continue to serve because, I brag about you whenever I can. Everyone I have board members who are not that experienced, or they're all from one side and not from the other. And I think what impresses me the most is you guys can have your banter, and then you can have a laugh, and then you come to a conclusion, and you're always respectful. And we aren't seeing that.
Sure.
You really make democracy work, and Glenn, you're an outstanding chair. So I know we're 10 minutes over, Glenn. I feel like our legacy is falling apart before our eyes. So
We gotta get
keep
out of
up,
here.
keep up the efficiency and the great government focus and working for the residents. So thank you. You guys are extraordinary, and please keep serving. Isabella's going to make it as easy as she can. So, whatever you need. And I know you're going to be in great hands with
Get a plan
Isabella
together.
and Michael and the nurses. So we're good.
Good. Got to get a plan together.
Yep.
Yep. All right, then. With that, I move that we end this meeting. And until, we got to pick a new date, January
9th.
9th. All right, January 9th. Future date.
In
So-
person, right? I know you all grumbled when we did this remote, so thank you. It was easier for our presenters and all staring at a laptop. The town is moving to a hybrid room, so that won't be an issue moving forward. That's something Cable Access and Dana and that team's working on, but one day. I love that you guys meet in person. I think it's great.
Yes.
Yep, indeed.
All right, I need someone to second the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
What was the motion?
To end the meeting.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, aye. I know I seconded it, but
All right, then. All those in favor?
aye.
Teresa, Lisa,
Aye.
and Swati.
Aye.
That's it. Have a wonderful holiday season. We'll see you on the other side.
All right.